Welcome back to the $1 million Tipping Point podcast. Today, we have Kiri Walker on the show. Just as a reminder for our audience and listeners, we are brought to you by the Tipping Jar of Wisdom, where as a subscriber, you get access to exclusive content every Thursday straight to your inbox with actionable tasks from our guests that will help you grow your business. So head over and connect with me on Instagram at virtually Kiri or LinkedIn, Kiri Mohan, and sign up through my bio. Also, if you're looking to start or grow your business, be sure to sign up for my monthly biz growth workshops, also found in my Instagram bio. So hello, Kiri. Today, Kiri Walker is the co-author of Instagram for Dummies and Instagram for Business for Dummies, a how-to guide for using Instagram to market your business. She is also the owner of The Marketing Specialist, a digital marketing agency in El Dorado Hills, California. Kiri works with several clients to produce social media strategies, including creating graphics and written content, advising on video, scheduling content, buying ads, and tracking analytics. She loves helping businesses achieve success in the online world. Again, welcome. Very happy to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited for two reasons. Because I love the For Dummies books, and I actually learned all the basics of playing guitar.
Through
perfect. A good beginner guide for dummies for guitar. Probably when I was in my late teens. I wanted to be, like a travel on the road, like hipster kind of person. And you know what? It totally taught me like the basics, and I can whip out a guitar now and play a very basic song. So those series, and I know I've used it for other things too, like those books. So those hold a special place in my heart.
Oh, good.
Another thing I wanted.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just want to say another thing I wanted to bring up is it's funny that you're doing the Instagram, the social media and marketing, but it was very hard to find anything personal about you online. I found a lot about your business, but I couldn't find too much about you personally other than your daughters forbid you from posting too much online or something. And I was like, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why I can't find too much about her.
Yeah, that's part of it. And, I post more personal stuff on my Instagram stories.
Okay.
So yeah, on my Instagram business page, I don't post a lot of family stuff because it's more like tips for your business. Stories, I will post a little bit more. And then Facebook is more where I post more of my, on my personal account is where I post more of that stuff. So maybe that's a sign I need to, open up more and share more about my life. I don't know.
Well, tell me, what do you see is successful then for people who use Instagram and social media and your clients? Because from what I've seen, it can be a little bit of a balance, a little bit of personal, if you're a business trying to promote yourself and you're one person.
Yeah. Well, I used to always be okay, on your business page, it should be strictly business, blah, blah, blah. But that's shifting a lot. And so more and more, and probably because a lot of people are working from home now, so it's all melding together. So I would say, you can start posting a little bit more personal stuff on your Instagram business page if you can kind of tie it back to business. I have posted when my daughter turned 18, I put it out there, but for me personally, I like to keep it more for what people are looking for and then kind of relate it back to my business. Now on stories, I will say, I'll just post it was recently I have two daughters, and my second daughter just turned 15. So I posted some birthday photos and things on my stories. So that's kind of the balance I tell people, because if you're looking to grow your account, a lot larger, a lot of those people are interested in what your business tips are, but they do like to know a little bit more about you as well.
Does it matter if you're a single person trying to grow your own brand versus a business? Because I think that would make a difference.
Yeah. I think I do advise people, I have a couple of restaurant clients. And so one of the things that does work really well on their account is if we share, some of the servers, we'll say, this is, Sarah, and she likes da, 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 and she's a server at our Reading location. And those always work really well because then the people in that location are like, oh my gosh, I love Sarah. She's the best, So I guess my answer a little back and forth because I haven't, you're right. I haven't posted a lot of real personal stuff on my business account, but I think I will probably be infusing a little bit more this year. So
We'll be excited to see it.
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how you actually got to the place that you were writing Instagram for Dummies and Instagram for Business for Dummies and just making your way
Sure.
into this marketing role.
Sure. Well, I have been in marketing for like over 20 years. I worked in corporate marketing for about 10 years. And then once I had my first daughter, I decided to go out on my own just because I felt like I'm sitting in this cubicle, I'm missing all this stuff. And so I really wanted to be there more for her. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be great if I could start this business and have more flexibility? And so I did that. And this was kind of before social media. So I did, lots of newsletters, email newsletters, printed materials, brochures, all that kind of stuff. And just grew the business. And then as social media became more and more popular and people started using it more for marketing, I said, this is probably something I should look at, and started using more and more of it, and more of it for business and some of my clients. And so then one of my friends, we were friends through the Chamber of Commerce, Eric Buto, he's one of my co-authors along with Jen Herman. He had been writing several dummies books on different topics, and he really knew there's, like you said about the guitar, there's kind of a set process for writing one of those books. They're very, they have a certain voice, they have a certain kind of template. So he knew how to write in that format, but he wasn't necessarily an Instagram expert. And he knew that I had been using it for my clients for a while. And so he asked me in as like the expert to weigh in on the book and help him write it. So that's how that started.
Does anyone ever approach you on like LinkedIn or anywhere on social media and be like, hey, I read the book and it's really helped me?
Yeah. Actually, I get a lot of DMs on Instagram and people saying like, oh my gosh, I just bought your book and it's helped. And that's awesome. Like I love hearing back from people that it helped them, and it makes it feel good to me that people are reading the book and it's helpful and they're using it to grow their business. So that it's delightful.
Do you feel like you have to update it often though? I mean, like, how does that work? Because Instagram is always updating. I feel like I just get the hang of something and then they throw something else that's new and totally different that I have to learn, and I get so angry.
Yes, that is probably the number one challenge, is writing a book about an app that is constantly updating. Yeah. So we kind of have a cycle. So we have Instagram for Dummies and Instagram for Business for Dummies. So they run kind of opposite of each other. So we just finished the second edition of Instagram for Dummies. So that means probably like at the end of this year, we'll start Instagram for Business for Dummies, the third edition. So yeah, we try to go like maybe every year and a half, we'll do an update of one or the other. But even as soon as we published it, there's already changes to the interface and new updates. So you just kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. And a lot of the book is, some of the basics that, the screen might have changed slightly, but the core of it is still, relevant. And especially with the business book, we go into a lot of other just general marketing tactics that don't necessarily depend on, that the heart sticker is over here or this functionality is over here. It's more about using it for your business and overall marketing. So, but yes, to answer your question, it is quite a challenge.
So that's good to know, because I didn't know if you would constantly update it or if you'd written it and then it was like, that's it, you're done, and it's all gone. So you do actually go in and you update it and you work with your co-author to update it in every year and a half or something.
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to do a TikTok one? TikTok for Dummies?
I don't know. They talked to me a long time ago about doing a Snapchat one. And I thought at the time, it was a few years ago, and it was still mostly more of a teen audience,
Mhm.
and they didn't have a huge marketing kind of arm to it. So I thought, okay, teenagers are not going to buy a book on
Right.
Snapchat.
Right.
But, with TikTok now and Snapchat, TikTok has become a major marketing platform. So it's possible that, that might be a good pitch. Yeah, right now I'm not an expert on TikTok. I do repurpose a lot of my Instagram reels out there. And I did have one TikTok go to like 60,000 something. So that was kind of fun. But yeah, so we'd probably need another expert on that panel to get that one written.
So talk to me a little bit about your own specific business, the marketing specialist. When did you always have a goal to reach this $1 million tipping point, as I like to call it? Or was it just, slowly but surely you built it up to that point that you could, you're now running $1 million business?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like, oh, I need to get to this $1 million point. It was more about, I needed to make enough money to contribute to our household finances. It was more about, that's what it was more about. So yeah, in the beginning, I did have goals when I first started the business. My husband and I put together a spreadsheet of, like, this is how we see it growing. And at this point, we'll be at this dollar mark. And it did grow pretty quickly. And a lot of that was due to my corporate past and all of those connections and connecting with them. But yeah, I didn't really have this like, oh, I want to make $1 million. It was more about, oh, I need to make X so that we can, afford for me to work in this manner and not have a, corporate job.
I was very similar. I remember my husband and I sitting down and being like, okay, these are our bills. This is how much he's bringing in. This is the minimum amount I need to bring in within X amount of months to say
Yes.
this is okay and we can continue to do this.
Exactly.
And now it's grown exponentially. It's been wonderful to be able to
Yeah.
have that flexibility. Were you nervous when you realized I want to quit my corporate job and start this? I mean, I don't know how many years ago. That would have been 18 years ago, because you said you just quit when your daughter.
She was 1.5 years, so it was about 17 years ago.
Well, congrats, 17 years in business. That's
huge.
huge.
Yeah. I was very nervous because I thought, okay, what if no one hires me? And in the beginning, it was slow going. Luckily, my husband's very conservative with finances and is a good saver and all of that. So we had, a cushion going in. But yeah, it's very nerve-wracking. And I would say, before anyone considers doing it, do it on the side for a good while to get some of those clients in, instead of just saying like, okay, I'm quitting my job, I'm starting this business. I think it definitely helps if you have those connections made, can be doing some of that, side hustle before you go all in.
I actually have advice for people, which is sometimes super unpopular. But like you, I was working corporate and I did it on the side just to see what would happen. And in the beginning, because I was working corporate and because I had that solid paycheck, I was able to not charge a lot, but always ask for like testimonials or references. So I could put on my webpage, put out my LinkedIn so people could see that like I was legit. And that was almost worth more in gold, because getting your first few clients is really hard, especially when you don't have references. And I wasn't letting my job know I was doing this. So it was like on the side, on secret,
Yeah, for sure.
It's hard. So what do you think is the most important action you took to grow your business to $1 million?
I think it was, this is going to sound interesting from someone that's like into, posted content, but I really leveraged some of my my contacts. One of my biggest clients still that I got way back when was I was just reaching out on my contacts on LinkedIn and just messaging them and saying, hey, I'm going out on my own. And if you have overflow work from your corporate communications department, let me know. I can do A, B, and C, and, pass it on. And so that's how I initially got my good base. And then a lot of it was referral through there. And now I still have that good referral system, but I also use social media a lot more, and I'm starting to get more and more requests just directly through social media from people that have been, watching me online.
Are you willing to share with us what's the highest amount you've ever charged a client for social media work?
Yeah. So let's see. I have a client now that I still don't charge a ton, but I have one client that I charge about 4,000 a month for. So
Okay.
it's not like insane on the,
What would be insane? What have you seen in pricing? This is for our audience, for people who are very, like, I do have some audience members who do social media as well.
yeah.
So what do you think is like the highest if an agency was
I
doing social
mean,
media?
it could be 25,000, it could be 100,000. Well, I don't know about 100,000, but yeah, I mean, there's some agencies that charge, much bigger brands in the tens, 20s, $30,000 a month for social media. Now, I don't have clients that are that big. Most of mine are a lot smaller. And as a one woman plus VA team, that's all I want to manage at this point. Those agencies that are getting $25,000, $50,000, they have, a built out, they might have 15 people on their team. And yeah, so
they have to charge more almost because they got to pay their people.
exactly. Yeah, they have to. And they're going to be doing way more, they may be doing all the videography, there's a lot in there that they might be doing that, someone like me, it's a lot simpler. Yeah.
You mentioned that it's just you and your VA, and you like to keep it
Yes.
kind of on the smaller side and more personal. So then how long did it take you to reach $1 million through your business?
Let's see. It probably took about like 7 years.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's quite amazing for one person.
Yeah.
And with a
Yeah.
VA. I've heard all
Yeah.
kinds of different answers. It's been all over the place. So I feel like I have a kind of rough idea for one person. That's outstanding. So congrats, I think, for
Yeah.
7 years.
So, I work pretty hard for several years.
How do they, I don't want to say judge, but how do they base your, let me think of the right way to say this. When a client comes to you, they want to, I think, see some markers of success for their business, right? With social media. What are they looking for when you're do they want to see a percentage increase in engagement or a percentage increase in sales or something like that? Do you understand what I'm saying? What are they judging you on when you're paying, like someone's paying you $4,000 a month? What do they want to see? Like 10 Instagram posts a week, 5 reels, 7 stories, and then they want to see X amount of engagement. That's what I'm trying to get at. What are they looking for?
Well, a lot of them still like to know that the follower growth is there, even though, but that's always one that they're interested in. They're of course interested in sales and how many sales they're making off of it. One of my bigger clients is a medical group. So they're not as interested in the nitty-gritty numbers. They're more interested in awareness for their service lines. So for instance, like at a hospital, if they've got orthopedics, they're more interested in getting that doctor's information out there for people to use them for orthopedics. So they're not as, they're not worried quite as much about some of those numbers as some of the other ones. it's funny, some of the bigger ones aren't as number worried, and some of the little ones, because it's out of their own pocket, are very worried about the numbers. So yeah, follower engagement, the growth of the engagement. Let's see what other ones, and definitely for the smaller accounts that are selling a particular product, they're worried about the sales. So those are the main ones that my clients look for. And you'd be surprised at how many of them are just wanting to have stuff out there. Like they're not as, a lot of the smaller clients aren't, they just want to make sure that they're seeing posts, every day, and they want to make sure that they're being seen. So
I
yeah,
think
it's
that's
an interesting
because
mix.
I remember this was a long time ago, but my husband had his own business doing auto detailing, and I did his social media for him. And it was like 2009 or something. But I remember once, like my husband was like, "You don't really need to do Facebook. What are you doing?" I was like, "No, it's just good to have, and like people need to see this." And someone said, "Hey, I saw your website and I saw that you had a Facebook page, and I loved looking at your pictures and your questions, and that's why I decided to contact you." So I think some of it is like the people who don't care, they just want stuff out there. So like, because they want people to see that they are active on social media, they are doing something. And to them, like the followers might not be as important, or the engagement, just for something out there.
Yeah.
Because everything's social media right now, right? So you have to be
right.
Like, it's almost like you have to have a social media
You
somewhere.
You have to have a presence. And a lot of people, they just want a regular presence out there. Even if they're not using social media as like their number one way to get clients, like maybe they get more clients directly from referrals, but they know, okay, I need to have, a presence out there so people know if they go look for me on Facebook, that the account isn't sitting there dead for 6 months.
That's a big turnoff for me, who's someone who's been raised with social media. It's kind of like when I go to anything, honestly, sometimes like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and I'm like, "Oh, you haven't posted for like 3 months?" Even just 3 months, which is not that long. Like something could have happened in their life. But yet I judge immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Where's your content?" Oh,
yeah, exactly.
That's why I also have someone who does my social media. So it's like, at least there's something out there. There's something turning, and that no one has that impression of me when they come up with stuff.
Right.
Have you ever had a client unhappy with your work? And if so, what advice do you have for other women when they have an unhappy client? How did you rectify it?
Yeah. I mean, I've had one of my restaurant clients has said before, like, "Oh, we're doing too many pictures that are just, food pictures. Let's do some other things." And so I've had to go back with them a few times, because they're not always clear about what they're looking for. So I would say, for a client that says like, "Oh, we're not getting enough followers," or "We're not getting enough engagement," or "I don't like what you're posting," that is the time to set up a meeting. If you are local and can do it face to face, I believe that's better. But if not, do a Zoom meeting and ask the questions and just say, "Okay, so what is it you're seeing that you don't like? And is there something that you feel like you really want included? Are there other accounts that you're seeing that you feel they're doing something that you want to try, or they're doing something better than we're doing that is making you feel this way?"
I feel like sometimes that's it.
Yes. And that was the
other
the
people,
case.
and you get like FOMO and jealousy. Like, why are they doing this? Oh, that looks so cool.
Exactly. Yeah. So then you just ask the questions, like, what's making you upset? What are you seeing out there that you think is better, that we could do more of? And then take those suggestions to heart, because if they're expressing it, you're lucky, because then you have a chance to fix it. If you don't hear anything, that means, they might say tomorrow they'll just cut you off, and you won't know why. So be grateful if someone does give you that feedback, because then you have a chance to fix it and keep the client.
I like that. You talked about how you have a VA, a virtual assistant right now. At what
Mhm.
point, no, scratch that. Talk to me a little bit about mistakes and challenges you've had when hiring.
Oh, this is a good one because I had a big mistake. So, believe it or not, I've only had a virtual assistant for about a year and a half. I was kind of a control freak and was thinking, okay, nobody can do it like I can. And I don't know, it's all just in my brain. And how am I going to, it's going to take way longer to explain this to someone, blah, blah, blah. So I've changed my tune on that, by the way. But the first VA, I have a coach, and so she really, said you need to have a virtual assistant to help you with this stuff. I'm going to vet someone for you, the works. So she did, brought me someone great. Well, I didn't quite understand the process, and in this coaching, I was supposed to talk to her pretty much daily, like in the morning, they call it a scrum. So you just kind of meet up for 15 minutes to a half an hour and talk about, what you want them to do. And then we use ClickUp also for all of the tasks and things like that. Well, I was a little bit confused in the beginning and didn't realize I was supposed to be meeting with her all these times. So she was confused. Anyway, she ended up quitting because she's just like, this chick does not know what she's doing.
Oh no.
So yeah, so that was my first failed VA experience. Totally my fault because I didn't know what I was doing. But figured it out. And now I will say the way that I work with my VA is pretty awesome because we do meet Monday through Friday mornings. And it's the very first thing I do in the morning, partially because he's in the Philippines. So, and I'm in California. So our time difference is like crazy. So that's the one little bit of a downfall, but yeah, so we'll talk about things, and it just makes it so much more of a connection. And I feel like he is really invested in my business, having that, we're like friends now. And, it's a lot closer than just putting things on ClickUp and saying, here, do this task, bring it back to me. I feel like, if I tell him, oh, we have a new client, he's excited about it, and he wants the business to grow because he's invested in it. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the one-on-one, seeing each other via Zoom, but and talking. And so I know more about his personality, he knows my personality. And there's a lot that happens when you're typing things out. I know I can sound more harsh or whatever, that if I had spoken it, it's a lot more either clear, you can clarify things, or it just doesn't come across as black and white, it's softened. So that's what I would say for anybody hiring a VA or a team. Make sure you're meeting with them regularly so that they're invested in your success and their success, because if the business grows, maybe you'll instead of them just being a virtual assistant, maybe you'll say, okay, well, you're going to be my lead, product manager or whatever. So yeah, make that connection.
I started out as a VA, and one of my clients, he ended up using me to do like pitches. So I actually got commission, and I never thought I'd be a salesperson. But then when he was like, I'll pay you a commission, depending how much you are able to get out of this deal, I was like, yeah, I don't know. And then I really excelled at it. I was really good at it. And I was like, oh, let's see how much I can get from this person. Let's see how much I can charge it. And that my role just grew and grew and grew. So I know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
What do you think is one of the biggest mistakes you've learned while growing your business?
Probably playing small for too long. So going back to the VA thing, as one person, I could only take on so much work. And I was doing a lot of the day-to-day stuff. And it really took someone, this coach, basically saying, say I charge $100 an hour, but I'm doing, 10 hours a week of work that's just admin. So that could have been, like $1,000 I was making for a client. But I'm doing it, I'm doing back end stuff that I could have someone else do at a much lower rate to help me grow. So I would say, yeah, not hiring a virtual assistant sooner to do some of those tasks that can easily be delegated.
Why do
It
you
was
think
keeping
that
me
is?
small.
Why do you think some people are afraid to hire, to let go of that control and to step out and get bigger?
For me, I think some of it was control. Some of it was just like, well, it's going to take me longer to tell this person how to do it. And yeah, so some of it was that. Some of it was, I had before my kids were a lot smaller. So I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know if I want to be managing someone and I'm managing toddlers. And, it just seemed like too much. So yeah, I think there's a lot of factors in play. And I was worried I wasn't going to have enough work to give them because I could never imagine, some of the client work that I do now, graphics, things like that, I will have the virtual assistant do. And so I thought, oh, well, how could I have someone else do that? Because I'm the brand and, all of that kind of thing. But then you realize once you put in, some processes into play and explain exactly how you want things done, someone else is fully capable. Like I'm not some, superwoman that no one else can do what I do. There's a lot of things that I do that other people can actually do better. So, yeah. So I think that's probably some of the reasons that I kept small.
I always look at hiring as basically short-term pain for long-term pleasure because you've got that short-term training and
Yes.
the questions that come barreling at you for the first, and sometimes it can take up to like 3 months for them to really settle in, whoever you've
Yeah.
hired. Then there's just questions and questions. And like you said, if it's not a good fit, that can be even worse and kind of turns you off from hiring. But if you get a good person and they're good at what they do and things just start flowing and you've got a team that makes everything flow and you only get to do what you love, it's magic.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's worth the money.
No. Yeah. And that's been the fun thing is I have been doing like more podcasts. I hadn't done podcasts 2 years ago. I mean, maybe once or twice a year, someone would ask me to come on, but I didn't have a strategy to try and get on more podcasts. I wasn't even really interested in it. I just wasn't growing my authority, even though I knew like, okay, I have this awesome For Dummies brand over here that I should be taking advantage of. But I really didn't, I wasn't taking advantage of it because I was so like, just in that day-to-day client stuff that I'm like, well, I don't have time to do that. I'm trying to make money over here. And so now having my VA take on some of that stuff and being able to talk to people like you just has really helped grow things and just get my name out there, get my authority out there. So that's been awesome.
What do you think would be your best investment you've made in your business over 17 years? And then tell me a little bit about the worst investment.
So probably my best investment in the last couple of years has been some coaching. Because, it's hard when you're, self-employed, your own business, you can't learn it all just on your own. So yeah, I invested in a really good coach and she's invested in my success. So yeah, so that's probably been the best thing. I mean, she's the one that said, you need to have a VA, you need to be on more podcasts. So someone that you're accountable to, and that's going to push you out of your comfort zone. So that was definitely my best investment because that's, I've seen the most growth after hiring a coach. Probably some of my worst investments have just been, wasting a lot of money on like little courses here and there that, this might be like a $200 course and then I don't really take it. So I've wasted probably a lot of money on that. And now that I have a coach, I try and I still get that shiny object syndrome, and I'll see something, I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And I said, no, stay on the course, stay on with this coach and see everything through that she's telling you. Because if you're all scattered and doing one, thing over here and one thing over here, it's not going to all come together. So that was some of my mistakes in the beginning, was just, buying all these little courses and not following through on them.
I sometimes do that too. So I totally.
It's hard. It's hard.
Like, yes. And then I get like two, they're like broken up, the courses.
Yeah.
It's not just like, so I'll do like 1 hour here. And then I'm like, yes, on to the next hour. And then I'll get in like 20 minutes. Yeah, and then I never go back to it.
I know.
It's a waste. So we had a listener submit a question. Keith, thank you for this. So for our audience, you can submit questions. And if we pick them, if you're part of our email newsletter community, you get a fun gift card. So Keith, thank you for this question. He said, Kori, your knowledge of social media marketing is something I look forward to learning more about on this podcast. I do have a question about one item about a post about marketing trends that you advised are priority for 2023. Specifically, my question is, can you explain and give some business examples about AI created content? I'd like to understand both how it works and also what pros or cons such an approach might require in terms of administration/oversight by a marketing team.
Okay. So I am super excited about this. And actually, if you saw that, I just posted that one, that reel that he's referring to, I think on Monday. So he has got the fresh stuff out there. And then my follow-up one was a reel about ChatGPT. So that's the AI content that he's referring to.
Can you talk to us a little bit more about that? Because it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yes.
And I want our audience to know about it and learn about it. And I don't think I could even adequately explain it.
Okay. So ChatGPT is an AI, it's basically like a AI language, and you can type in prompts for it and it will look off of its basis of learning. I don't know exactly where it's getting the information from, but it will spit out information that you want. So it's a higher level than like Google, because it's not going to just send you links. It's going to write things for you. So
it's legit. Let me just provide a quick example for our audience. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Those, you know that. You can see my background. I typed in, why is the original trilogy better than the prequel trilogy? This thing spat out like, I wouldn't say an essay, but it was like 5 paragraphs. Good argument. I would have no idea that was a bot. I don't know, again, where it pulls its stuff from, but it was like, I could be talking to another fan with like the response it gave me. It was amazing.
So, So in fact, because I was so excited about it, I put together just a quickie 3-day, like little mini course. You'll just get 3 emails, one a day, showing 3 uses for it for marketing. So I show you how to have it write you a blog post. So that is awesome. You can just put in like, write a 500-word blog post about best ways to use Instagram Reels. Boom, writes the whole thing out, copy and paste it. I do recommend always reading what it gives you. It might need some editing. It might have some data that's not 100% correct. So make sure you read it and edit it where necessary. Another thing that I'm using it for is social media captions. So if you want to say, write a caption about using ChatGPT for your business, blah, 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 it will write out a thing. The other really cool thing about it is, so I had it do that, and then it was a really short little caption that it gave me back, and it will remember that. And then in the next line, I said, okay, but write it much longer. And then boop, 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 it wrote it a lot longer, so like a 2-paragraph one instead. So it's crazy. And then the other thing that I talk about is using it to create a list like as an idea generator. So if you want to say, give me 10 ideas for a lead magnet for a pet sitter, and then it'll give you 10 awesome ideas. And really, like in the example I did, I think it's for a florist. And the examples I came up with, or that ChatGPT came up with, were ones like it did it so quickly, and I couldn't even come up with those 10. Like it's nuts. So his other question was, how can you utilize it like a marketing team?
How it works, which we just went into. Also, pros, cons such an approach might require in terms of administration and oversight by a marketing team.
Okay. So I would say, yeah, maybe if you have like a content calendar of what you want written for that month, break it out into whoever does that on your team and say, okay, assign ChatGPT, 5 blog posts this month, and have them write it on different topics, and write it maybe in different ways where you use your SEO keywords in there. So the pros are that it can write a lot of content for you very quickly, and you can assign, different team members, like, okay, you're on blogs, have ChatGPT write, 10 blogs on this subject. The cons are, like I mentioned before, that you can't just copy and paste it and not read it and not edit it. So make sure that you're going through it, and that it's accurate, and that there's no errors in it. So, but right now I don't see a lot of cons in it. People do worry, well, what if I'm a copywriter? Does that mean my job goes away? And I don't think it means it will completely go away, because there's still
copywriters are just so good for like convincing people to buy your stuff. Like, honestly,
yeah.
I mean, that's why a lot of people hire. Some people hire them for blogs too. And from what I've seen with ChatGPT, it's very factual and like blah, 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 like you've been saying, boop, 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 boop. I don't know. Can it sell? I don't know. I haven't tried it.
It can actually.
Really?
Yeah, you could tell it to write a sales page convincing me to buy blah, blah, blah. So
oh, interesting. I didn't even think to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And there's other weird things, like I don't know if you follow John Loomer. He does Facebook ads, and he's the expert on that. He had it write like a new Facebook pixel code that he could put on his site to track data.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
It's
we're like on the verge of like this new era in the internet. It's
I
like
think this
here.
year is gonna bust out with some crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So how do you plan to grow your business? Where do you see it going in the next few years, 5 years?
Well, I do want to, stick with my VA, and then hopefully add on another person. At some point, I do want to add a podcast to my list, to get out there more. So yeah, I'd like to keep growing my team, keep, having one side be the client side, that's managed. And then also I would like to do, some more digital products and things like that are just kind of, running in the background that people can order at any time. So that's kind of my game plan going forward.
What advice do you have for other women as they grow their business or want to hit that $1 million tipping point?
Let's see. I would say invest in a coach, invest in some kind of mentor, because it's so easy to just stay in your comfort zone. If you're just working in your silo, you don't realize how much is out there, and you don't have anyone saying like, you can do more, you can do more. So I think, just getting someone behind you to push you out of your comfort space, because it's so easy. I did it for over a decade, just did my little thing, was making good money. But until you have someone push you out of your comfort zone, you're going to stay small.
What hurdles have you faced specifically as a woman running a business in the marketing space?
I have had other men in the space say things like, oh, isn't it nice that you can, earn the money for your family's vacations? And, yeah, I had someone say that to me and I wanted to punch him in the face. And I replied with, no, actually, I pay our mortgage. So thank you very much. Yeah. So I've had not many, but, and that was like a long time ago. I think I've arrived to the point where, people take me seriously and I don't get comments like that anymore. But long ago, before, all the Me Too and the greater, bigger women's movement, I would get some comments like that. And I thought, I don't even want to say it. I'm too much of a lady. But yeah.
It's interesting because for me, I joined corporate. When did I start working? 2010. And marketing has almost all been females that I've seen. But I mean, just like every profession is once male dominated, and there's still a lot, but like most of the people I've known since entering the working field have been women in marketing, not men.
Yeah, that is true. I think this one guy in particular was more of a sales guy, I should say. So maybe that's a little different. But
those sales guys.
I'm
making my husband's in sales, so I'm like totally making fun of him. But, all right, tell us a little bit about where we can find you. Here's your moment to share, where we can find you on social media, your website, anything like that. Or if you have a lead magnet that you want to share as well.
Yeah, so I've got a few things. So you can find a little bit of everything on themarketingspecialist.com. That's where you can find, I have a Reels ebook for people that are interested in learning more about how to create Reels from scratch. My dummies books are also on my website. I'm most active on Instagram, obviously. So that is at Kori C. Walker, COREYCWALKER. And on the link in my bio on Instagram, I do have that ChatGPT free mini course that's available. I have a 30 Reels ideas little download, and that's free. I have the Reels ebook it's like $12, and it's almost 30 pages long. So it's got a lot for that. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn as well, Kori C. Walker. So say hello.
Nice. We will. What is one philosophy, mantra, or quote that you try to run your business by?
Ooh, see, I wasn't prepared for that one. I would say, like, give back to your community. So I'm very much of a, women supporting women. And, I have a lot of fellow entrepreneurs, and not just women. I shouldn't say just women supporting women. I mean, support your fellow community. So I have built a nice community of other people online, and I really try as much as possible to support their endeavors and give them, shout outs as much as possible. And I feel like I've grown so much more by being nice to people and being, open and willing to share my advice with them and take their advice back and just celebrate their wins. So that is my mantra.
I like it. Thank you so much for being on the show. We've really, I think, learned a lot and really appreciate you sharing your insight as well.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.